Hey guys, in this video I want to give some practice advice for Rode Caprice number 5. This is the All-State TMEA etude, or one of them, for 2019 to 2020. And remember that the region cuts come from these etudes as well. So even if you're not doing All-State, you just want to do region, it's a good idea to work on this etude over the summer. So right off the bat, this is a really hard Caprice, it has a lot of different techniques, really virtuosic. So it's hard. It's easy to get overwhelmed with this. So I'm gonna try to break it down into little bite-sized pieces. Make sure the whole time, whenever you practice this, practice a lot with the metronome. It's really easy to rush in this piece because we have a lot of varying rhythms. We go from a really common rhythmic motif, I guess, is the 6 tuplets runs, like in the third line. That's common throughout a lot of the piece, but sometimes we have just straight 16th notes, like on the second page. So we want to make sure we don't rush there, and practicing it with a metronome will help a lot. And we want these 6 tuplets to be very even too, so the metronome will really help you out there. Make sure when you're practicing with the metronome, don't just go on autopilot and just like mechanically play everything. Notice when you're getting off of the metronome, because obviously if you have to play with a metronome, it means that your rhythm isn't perfect. So you're gonna get off a little bit. You make sure you're listening very carefully. And note when you get off. That's the part you need to like go over repetitively and practice, because there are just a few, occasionally there will be a tricky fingering that kind of trips you up, and so that's when you want to that's where you want to be paying attention to when you're practicing with the metronome. So I guess some specific things. This opening it's pretty hard because it starts on the offbeat. It's a triplet. So if you hear, I'm like sniffing on beat 1, or that's beat 3. So on the downbeat you go. It's really important to have that physical cue so you can feel the beat, so it doesn't just sound like so the rhythm doesn't sound like nothing. It needs to sound like 6 tuplets, or these are triplets, but the same thing. One thing you can do, you can just put a note on that rest, so when you're practicing, obviously, so that'll help you kind of hear it and cement it in your mind how it should feel. Now, what's really important here is to set your bow in the right part of the bow. You don't really have much control if you're at the tip, right? And then you're out of bow for this down bow here. So I think what would happen a lot, or when I first played through this, it would happen a lot if I just set up here kind of mindlessly, then in order to not get stuck, I would use a lot of bow. So, and you don't want to do that. That's because that kind of makes it hard to keep the rhythm accurate. So make sure you set very carefully where you can use the same amount of bow on every note here, because they're all separate bows. So practicing slowly is really helpful, because you just want to make sure, again, using the same amount of bow on every note to keep it even. So make sure, not all the way at the frog, because it's awkward, but maybe somewhere in the middle. Now these shifts right here, just use guide tones. They look kind of scary, but they're not that bad. There's some different fingering options. The book says use a 3. I think that would probably help with vibrato. I was actually using a 4 now, but yeah, just use your guide tones. I made a video on that a while back, so if you go watch my guide tones video, if you don't know what that means. Yeah. Now on all these long notes, again, metronome is important because we have a lot of fast notes. It's easy to rush those long notes, or actually even slow down. It's kind of hard because we're coming from these fast notes, we go to long notes, we don't really have any basis for the rhythm anymore. So we want to be consistent and make sure you use your metronome. So again, another thing on these long notes, make sure you're grabbing the string before you go, because it's hard because of the string crossing you go. So you don't want to, you'll hear a lot of excess noise and stuff, so make sure you grab the string before you go. You can practice that with just like stopping and starting and moving and then go to really feel that motion in your bow hand. And again, another kind of similar to that pickup in the beginning, when we have these, it's easy to mess up the rhythm there, so maybe practice by separating the tie. See, we have a quarter note to a 16th triplet, so just to practice it that way, so then you can know what it feels like and put the tie back in. And this really high note on the second line, don't stress about it too much. Just practice your guide tones. It's not that hard. Just guide tone to like that's about an F sharp on the G string. If you have your 1 down from the A here, and your hands in position. It's if you know exactly where you're going with your guide tone, you shouldn't have much trouble with it. Just a lot of repetitive practice with that guide tone, and you'll be fine. Again, making sure you're setting before you go on that string crossing, and your sound quality will be good too. So yeah, this is a lot of specific stuff at the beginning. I guess you can apply a lot of this to other parts of the piece too, so keep that in mind. Let's see. Around measure 20, I have my measures numbered here, so I would suggest you do that just so it's easier to reference whenever you're talking with your teacher or anything. Measure 20, you want to stop start here and also practice your guide tones, because the intonation here is pretty tricky because it's some weird hand shapes. So you want to stop and start and like think about, okay, exactly where my hand shape's going to be. And make sure there's a clear difference whenever you have to move. See how I have to, it's 3, 2, 4, 3, but then a lower 2. Make sure whenever you're moving your 2 within like one little passage like that, or any finger, whenever you have to move a finger like within a passage like that, make that a very clear difference. You want to make sure that the judges can hear that. So yeah, again, stopping and starting so you can feel your hand shapes here will really help. A lot of these sections, some things I've already talked about. Just on all these low notes, big string crossings at the end of the first page. Setting before all of those will really help. I think that's gonna about wrap it up for now. I might make some more videos on more tips later, but a lot of these, just apply a lot of these things throughout the piece. A lot of it's stuff I've talked about in my previous videos, which were on the etudes last year, but they can still help you with stuff this year, so feel free to go watch those. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer. Also, let me know if you guys want me to make a recording of this. I don't know if that would be helpful for you or not, but I'd be down to do that. I need to practice a little more so it can be a good recording. So thanks for watching. Be on the lookout. I'll probably upload more videos with tips on this etude and the other etude in the future. So yeah, goodbye.